4:40 is the time. We're talking once again with Greg Hunter from the Golden Blue News, and of course on Statewide Sports Line. You can hear him talk with Tony Caridi and the guys talking about Mountaineer football, and that's what we're talking about here this afternoon. I know Geno, hearing the conversations with Geno Smith, he seems very confident and can handle the pressure and everything. But I mean, there's going to be a lot expected of Geno this year, not only from West Virginia fans, but from national fans as well, going to the Big 12. I mean, I've seen some publications early on where he might be a dark horse for the Heisman and stuff like that. How is he handling that early on?
Yeah, I mean, he's a unique kid. I mean, there's a confidence there with him that you like to see in quarterbacks, but he's not an outwardly cocky guy. So I think his attitude is pretty good to handle whatever is thrown at him. Now, you know, again, he's been a big fish in a small pond. Well, the pond's going to get a lot bigger with the Big 12 and the national notoriety that's to come. So I guess we'll see. But I think with just his demeanor, he's going to be fine. I mean, he's been confident since the first day that he walked in here that he was going to be able to play at this level and play at as high a level as need be. So, you know, confidence will never be a problem. But he's not a kid who also takes it too far. He's, you know, and I know Dana has talked in the off season. He worked really, really hard because I think not only does he know that, you know, the pressure is going to ratchet up for him this year, but you know, he's got NFL ability. I mean, there's not much doubt about that. So I think, you know, he's seen that there's a window there for him, and he's doing all he can to take advantage of it.
And of course, you keep up with recruiting and everything else going on. I wanted to ask you about Ryan Switzer. Of course, he made his announcement going to North Carolina. West Virginia was one of his final three. Your thoughts on Switzer going to North Carolina?
Well, you know, I think just from a Mountaineer perspective, a little bit disappointing. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, you know, Martinsburg fans and people in the Eastern Panhandle saw him in the state championship game, and I've seen him for a couple of years now in football and basketball and other events. I mean, he is a very good player. Is he a great player? I mean, only time will tell. And there's no, you know, definite determination in that. But I think he's very good. He'd fit very well at slot receiver wherever he goes. He's not going to be a running back at the college level, at least not in every down guy. It's just going to be too small. But, you know, it's not a killer for West Virginia. You know, the program's not going to fold up. But you'd like to get any kids in the state that can play at this level, and he's one of the few that come through. There are a couple other kids this year that have that ability, but, you know, we know there are only 2 for each year at the most that have that, and you'd like to get all you can, but didn't work out, you know, and he wanted to go to North Carolina. But, again, from a West Virginia perspective, admittedly, that's a little disappointing because the Mountaineer coaches definitely had recruited him hard and hoped that they could land him, but didn't work out that way.
Well, talk to me a little bit about, because I've had people come up to me here in the Panhandle and talk and say, man, why, you know, Switzer, a great player and everything, that he deserves everything that he gets, but, you know, got some good players here in the Panhandle that, you know, nobody's recruiting Division I here. I mean, you had Logan Jenkins comes to mind, winning the Huff Award, linebacker. He's going to Fairmont State. Brandon Ashenfelter, 28 straight wins as a quarterback at Martinsburg, and he's going to Fairmont State, not getting a lot of D1 looks. I know Cedric Brown, an outstanding wide receiver, coming back next year, is getting some D1 looks, but I don't know if West Virginia's in the mix there. I just don't understand. Maybe a lot of people asking me, why is there a difference of maybe the Panhandle not getting recruited? Maybe they think they should.
Well, you know, I think they will. I mean, Cedric Brown's a kid West Virginia knows about. I mean, they haven't offered him yet, to my knowledge, but very aware of him. I mean, he's probably, after Switzer, the next kid in the state that I think, you know, would likely get an offer if one's to come. So, you know, wait and see. You know, truthfully, it comes down to, you know, who else is recruiting them. I mean, typically, if West Virginia sees that, you know, Penn State, Florida State, you know, Maryland, other schools are jumping in, but when their competition is Fairmont State or Shepherd or Glenville or whomever, you know, that probably tells you a little bit about a prospect's ability. So that's the tough part. I mean, they've had some kids. It's been a few years since the Nate Sowers and Brandon Barrett's of the world made their way over, but there have been some from that area, and they've gotten a few as walk-ons as well. So, and of course, Corey Smith also, you know, sort of made it by the transfer route. But they're kids there, but just sort of like, I think the Eastern Panhandle is like a lot of places in the state of West Virginia. They're good football players, but are they Division I football players? I'm not quite certain. I mean, truthfully, probably not, because just sort of their path leads us to say so. I mean, if they were going to major Division I schools and West Virginia wasn't offering them, yeah, they probably were. Then you could take a look at the Mountaineers and say, hey, you know, what's going on there. But if they're ending up at Fairmont State, how many Orange Bowls you're going to be able to win with kids that end up at Fairmont State.
Okay. And also, you mentioned Corey Smith, of course, and I maybe go back and think about with West Virginia, the special teams. I know there was a lot of talk about that last year. How has that progressed during the spring?
I tell you what, Corey looks a lot better so far this spring. And again, there's 12 people in the stands and teammates on the field, and that's it. Wait till you get 60,000 in there and Oklahoma's facing you to say anything for certain. But he looks, there's a consistency level this spring with Corey that we didn't see last year. I mean, last year, even in practice, he would hit a 60-yarder on one shot and a 60-yarder on the next. And so far this spring, he's shown much, much more consistency, and I think that's got everybody really encouraged. West Virginia probably can't survive another, punting, drama like they had last year, trying different punters, and all of them sort of at one point, failing and then bouncing back. And Corey certainly among those who had opportunities, performed really well at times, and then had struggles at others. Hopefully he found some consistency this year. And what we've seen out of him so far this spring is definitely a much, much more consistent player.
All right. Well, Greg, hey, we appreciate you coming on and talking some WVU football with us.
No problem, guys. Anytime.
All right. Thanks. Greg Hunter.
Bye-bye.
Greg Hunter, Golden Blue Report. West Virginia's spring football game scheduled for Saturday, April 21st, and we'll probably be in touch with him here between here and now.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk to him again. Of course, you can hear him on Statewide Sports Line as well with Tony Caridi. So always good to talk to Greg. He's got some great information, and glad to bring him on. Stay tuned. We continue with more In the Zone coming up next here on Sports Radio 1340 WEPM.